I just came in here for this white fabric, and then here I am with a cart full of stuff, because I have a problem. Welcome to Hidden Hilltop Homestead. Today's vlog is going to be working on some quilts, but first I wanted to show you some stuff I got from Joann's. Went in for some white fabric and a tie-dye kit for an upcoming project, and ended up buying a bunch of clearance fabric. So let's see all the goodies that I got today. First up, we have this tie-dye kit for an upcoming video. I'm super excited and interested to see how this will go. This is supposed to be like a 30 item kit, so hopefully it'll dye a blanket. We'll see. Yeah, we'll see. Round, we got some really cute beach balls on blue. This is like super dope jellyfish. I love the lighting contrast, it's great. We have some very tropical fish for a gorgeous mermaid quilt in the future. We got a Mickey Mouse vintage movie poster print. Fall pumpkins, and I'm really excited because they're putting teal and blue into stuff again, and I really love that for fall. Speaking of which, super cute floral leaf on dark dusty blue. Freaking sweet teal pumpkins. Again, awesome. Can't wait to put in some fall stuff. So I got a half yard of this for my quilting, but I think I'm going to get some more for like curtains for my office. It's super cute. I got a little over a yard of this for like $1.40. It's just like sea creatures and stuff. But I'm kind of confused because this fish right in the middle looks like a trout, and maybe it's not, but I don't know. I just thought like beach blanket or mermaid or something. I don't know. We'll see. This was also like $2 for a little over a yard. Really pretty flowers. And then make this make sense, but I got 8 yards of white. I only needed 7 because it was $1.40 cheaper than getting 7 yards, because Joann's does like a 8 yard or more discount. Like, what? Alright, we're done with our haul. Let's get into our blanket. I'm working on this fishing themed blanket that's kind of just been sitting on the back burner for like a month and a half, but now we're going to get back into it. I need to cut some more top squares, and I'm going to finish pinning all of my like sandwiches. So yeah, let's work on that and make some progress. So just in case you don't know what I'm doing, I'm taking the back of my quilt, laying out my squares. This is going to be the back. And then I'm putting a piece of batting in the middle. It's 1 inch smaller than the front and the back, so I just kind of center it as best as I can. And then I'm putting on my top piece, so that's going to be the front of the quilt. And I build these little sandwiches, is what I call them. And then I sew them together. I'll quilt an X through the middle of them and then sew the blocks together. And that's what creates my quilt rows. And then I sew the rows together, and then that builds the quilt. So now comes the fun part of trying to find like a matching thread, because I do not have anything close to this color. I think I'm going to go with this brighter. It's like a bright royal blue, because the darker blue is more visible. I have a million blue threads, but like apparently not this color. Go figure. Now I gotta sew 144 X's, and this usually takes me like the least amount of time now because I feel like I just blow through these. But anyways, yeah, enjoy watching me do this 144 times. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to make you watch me do the whole thing, obviously. But yes, I am going to finish quilting these squares and getting everything ready to lay out my design. And just when you thought everything was sunshine and rainbows, the sewing machine wants to throw me for a loop. So I'm having issues with bottom thread showing on the front, and I've had this issue before, and it required a lot of adjusting and a bunch of different stuff. And I also needed to clean out my sewing machine because it was full of lint, because when you sew with a lot of flannel, you get an extreme amount of lint build up really fast. It's really annoying because they just come through as dots, and if you troubleshoot this, it's like change your tension and make sure everything's threaded correctly, blah blah blah. Well, my sewing machine likes to just throw a fit for no reason when no adjustments needed. So took it apart, I'm cleaning it, and we're gonna give it another go. So I did another square, and it's not much better. Like, this is the first one, you can see all the dots, and now it's like every couple stitches. So we're getting there, hopefully. Alright, I did some more adjustments. I changed my thread length and stuff, and now it's working. Miraculous, no more back thread showing through. So let's wrap these babies up. Alright, we are done with all of our squares. We are ready to lay this bad boy out and get the design done. So I'm going to sort these into patterns and then start building my quilt. Alright, I'm done with rows 1 through 5. So far, I'm loving this pop of coral. I think it's like the brightest part of the blanket, but like everything's kind of like muted, and that really just adds some color. So I'm excited. It looks great. I got all my pieces laid out. We're done. This is all 12 rows, and I love it. Looks amazing. Very excited. Very, very excited. So now I'm going to stack my rows and get ready to sew them together and probably call it a night. Alright, we're calling it a night, got all the rows marked, and we'll pick back up tomorrow. So I'm actually starting off today with something different. I have a special order that I am trying to get wrapped up, and currently I'm cutting out the back. This is black flannel, and this is going to be a very unique quilt. It's something that I've never done before, but this is going to be a throw size. So I need 144 back pieces. And yeah, so I'm going to get this done and show you what I'm going to be working with the front. One of my assistants decided to stop by and see what I'm doing. She is quality assurance. She likes to make sure things are running smoothly, and she likes to also remind me when I'm not working fast enough. She runs a tight ship. We have production quotas, and if you don't meet them, there are consequences. I have all of the backing done, 144 squares, and then these two piles over here are the batting, which is like a black poly cotton mix with cat hair, of course. And now we're going to work on the front. So this special order is very interesting because I am making quilt squares out of these Crown Royal bags. Now these bags are rounded on the bottom, they are not square, and it's going to be a little interesting to try to get a nice looking square out of these, but they are big enough for me to use my 6-inch ruler on. They are a cotton poly blend of some kind. They don't really stretch. And this trim on the front is metallic as well as the embroidery. So my goal is to get as much of the embroidery in the square as possible, and I'm also going to have to get some of that metallic trim with it too. And it's probably going to be a little bit of an angle because of how the bag is shaped. So, because this doesn't have any stretch, and it's kind of like, it's definitely a poly blend, you can tell that it should fringe. I don't know how much it's going to fringe, but the overall plan here is to like make it
look like it's from a bag. Like, I want the squares to obviously be cut from a Crown Royal bag and not just have Crown Royal embroidery on them. So I think I have a good way of doing this, and I'm basically just going to be lining up the best that I can into the center and then cutting around by cutting the bag in half and cutting the back off, and then cutting some tension relief in the bottom to where it'll lay flat, which I'll show you here. So I'm going to take the bag and I'm going to try to cut as close to that back joint as possible. So like, that's the front of the bag, this is the back of the bag. I'm lining the bag up to make it evenly cut, and I'm going to be cutting on the left side of that gold fringe all the way down the bag. So we have the bag folded directly in half, and I'm just cutting right beside that seam so that I'm giving myself plenty of space to work with the front of the bag. So I'm cutting through the bag, and then there's also that gold cord that goes through the front, or the top of the bag, I mean. And I just cut that all the way off. This back piece isn't really big enough for me to do anything with, so I'm not really going to use it for anything. And I'll just take the cord out. I'm not going to need that. But then I'm left with like the front / side of the bag, and then you can see that it's got a curve in the bottom. So we're going to do 2 lines in the bottom to make it lay more flat so that I can get a more flat and squared square, if that makes sense. So just kind of like, I'm setting the bag down how it would naturally like sit up, and then I'm cutting into the corners. So it just makes it lay flat. And then I'm going to cut my square from the back because that is the flattest lay, as opposed to doing it from the front. That way I don't have to mess with the fringe and stuff. So I'm just spreading it out, and I'm going to center my square with that embroidery in the middle as best as I can. And these bags are not all embroidered the same. Some of them have bigger, some of them have smaller, some of it's off-centered from the bag. Like, you can really tell after you cut it out that it's definitely not in the middle. But I'm just going to do the best that I can with what I got, and I'm going to try to pick bags out that have the better quality embroidery on them, because I have a lot to pick from. I only need probably like 44 or 45. So I'm just going to work on this and make 44 or 45 squares. Now I'll have to lint roll this to get some of that gold shimmer. That's just from like the loose edges. But we'll see how this goes, because I have a 1/2 inch fringe all the way around my squares, and that's cutting it pretty close. I know the top is going to be on the fringe, but it should be enough room to not cause problems, and then I'll still be able to see it on the front of the square. But I like this look because you can tell that it was once a bag. It's not just a piece of material with Crown Royal embroidered on it. That's kind of like the point. It's somebody's collection that they want to have turned into a blanket. So I'm going to cut 45 squares, and then I'm also going to be looking through my fabric to see what I have to get some coordinating colors, and probably going to have to source a little bit more fabric because I don't know if I'm going to have enough. And I'm hoping that when it comes to doing the embroidery part, that I can make this look right and still have good integrity in the squares. So I have a very busy week coming up, so this is probably the only quilting I'm going to be able to get done. I am going to try to get the rest of these squares done and then pull a little bit of fabric, but I'm going to be planning a shopping trip, and I'll take you along with me for that in my next vlog. But thank you so much for watching, and if you're interested, subscribe to the channel and follow us for more quilting content. Bye guys!